Let's begin with our big focus. The landmark India-UK Free Trade Agreement has been signed in the United Kingdom in the presence of Prime Minister Modi and UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer. India stands to gain significantly from this trade deal in the form of access to cheaper British products, jobs, also duty-free access to UK markets for major Indian products. British products such as automobiles, healthcare equipment, soft drinks and beauty items will become more accessible to Indian buyers as the average duty rates decrease from 15% to 3%. The free trade agreement guarantees that 99% of exports from India will have duty-free entry into British markets. In fact, the deal provides India significant benefits through the elimination of tariffs on roughly 99% of tariff lines, which is almost 100% of trade value. The FTA will substantially boost job opportunities across India. Meanwhile, the duty rates for cars will come down drastically from the existing rate of more than 100% to just 10%. This is, of course, subject to quota limitations, but manufactured vehicles in Britain like Jaguar, Land Rovers, they will benefit from this tariff reduction. Just listen in to what the UK Prime Minister and Prime Minister Modi had to say, followed by Sky News' correspondent Gurpreet Narwan's report.
Look, and we both know this is the biggest and most economically significant trade deal that the UK has made since leaving the EU. And I think I can say that it's one of the most comprehensive deals that India has ever done. So thank you, Prime Minister, for your leadership and for your pragmatism. And I'd like to thank everybody who's worked so hard to get this deal over the line. We've entered a new global era. And that is one that requires us to step up, not to stand aside, to deliver for the British people by building deeper partnerships and alliances. And today is very much confirmation of that approach.
डिफेंस और सिक्योरिटी में साझेदारी के लिए डिफेंस इंडस्ट्रियल रोड मैप बनाया गया है। हमारी टेक्नोलॉजी सिक्योरिटी इनिशिएटिव को और मजबूत करने पर काम किया जाएगा। इट इज अवर कमिटमेंट दैट फ्रॉम एआई टू क्रिटिकल मिनरल्स, सेमीकंडक्टर्स टू साइबर सिक्योरिटी, वी शैल क्रिएट द फ्यूचर टुगेदर।
What this deal is centred on is reducing tariff barriers on goods, on the majority of goods coming into the UK and going to India. As you said, this was more of a rubber stamping exercise. The deal was announced back in May, and it will make it easier for exporters of a range of products, including things like cars and whiskey, to sell into the Indian market. And then for the Indians, one of the major wins is on textiles. We know it's a big employer, a big industry in India. In terms of the numbers, the actual contribution to the UK economy, you'll have heard all the words from Starmer and Modi about this being a big landmark deal. It's worth about 4.8 billion to the UK economy. Now, it sounds significant, but it's actually a pretty small. It's not transformational for the UK economy. It's worth saying that India's is still a highly protectionist economy. In Britain, for our part, we've been open for a while. We're a really open economy, which means that the potential for trade deals to shift the dial in terms of our economic growth is pretty small. But nevertheless, this deal is significant for other reasons. It's set in the context of growing protectionism across the world, particularly driven by Donald Trump, who's trying to redesign the global trade order, this lurch towards protectionism. Britain has been making the case for open and free trade on the international stage, and the Indians, for their part, are trying to position themselves in such a way that they might be able to attract some of that investment, some of that money that is leaving China as businesses are looking to diversify their supply chains. Starmer welcomed Modi today for that ceremonial moment at the Prime Minister's country residence at Chequers. He said it was the biggest, most economically significant trade deal Britain has done since Brexit. He said it sent a powerful message that Britain is open for business, and he said it could create 2,200 jobs. So, of course, that depends on how well the deal is implemented. And then Modi, for his part, He was very warm with the Prime Minister. He mentioned sort of shared cultural touchstones like cricket and spoke of the contribution that Indian immigrants have made to Britain, perhaps referencing some of the concern surrounding the deal back in May, a concern that it might lead to greater immigration and that it could undercut British workers by lowering those or scrapping those national insurance contributions for the first 3 years for Indian workers.
Well, following a successful diplomatic visit to the United Kingdom, Prime Minister Modi departed for the Maldives, kicking off the second leg of his two-nation tour. Mr. Modi's visit signals a major diplomatic reset between India and the island. This visit can be termed as significant as it marks the first high-level exchange between our two countries since Mr. Muizu's election in 2023, which saw a visible shift in the foreign policy orientation. Here's a report telling you why this is so significant.
After the historic UK visit, the Prime Minister is all set for crucial Maldives visit, becoming the first head of state to visit since President Mohammad Muizu assumed office in November 2023. Prime Minister Modi will attend the Maldives' 60th Independence Day celebrations as guest of honor on the 26th of July. But the visit to Mali marks a dramatic turnaround in ties that once seemed on the brink of collapse just 18 months ago. Back in 2023, President Muizu campaigned on an India Out platform, echoing his predecessor Abdullah Yamin. Relations soured further in early 2024 when junior Maldivian ministers made derogatory remarks about Prime Minister Modi, sparking a boycott Maldives trend across Indian social media. Then came a diplomatic low, Muizu's insistence that all Indian military personnel, even in civilian clothing, leave the Maldives by May 10th. India complied, replacing its presence with technical staff just in time. But ties took a positive turn soon after. In October 2024, Muizu visited India. New Delhi extended critical economic support, including a $750 million currency swap deal and $100 million treasury rollovers. The two sides agreed on a shared vision for a comprehensive economic and maritime security partnership.
There will always be events that will impact or try to intrude on the relationship, but I think this is testimony to the kind of attention that has been paid to the relationship, and including attention at the highest levels that has been paid to the relationship. We've continued to work at it, and I think the result is there for you to see.
During Modi's visit, agreements are expected across renewable energy, fisheries, digital infrastructure, and a possible free trade agreement. Indian flags are up across Malé streets. Detractors may voice criticism online, but for now, diplomacy has taken center stage. Ridhima Kedia's report for NDTV World.
In fact, the former Maldivian Foreign Minister Abdullah Shahid has hailed the visit as historic. The former Foreign Minister of Maldives now joins us. Mr. Shahid, thanks so much for your time. After a period of strain, we saw President Muizu travel to India last year. Would you say this touchdown by Prime Minister Modi and him being a part of the Independence Day celebration actually marks a reset in ties? Does it go beyond symbolism?
Thank you very much. The Maldivian people and I are delighted that the Prime Minister is going to be visiting us and also gracing the Independence Day celebrations as the guest of honor. It is most unfortunate that in the past we have had a diplomatic lull, spat, where the current administration coming into office used a narrative against India with ill will, and the damage that has been done to the relationship between our two countries. It was most unfortunate. It is good to see that the chapter is going to be closed and we could start again. The manner in which the Indian leadership dealt with the situation is commendable. It was with maturity and diplomatic talent that the Indian leadership dealt with the situation. There were no knee-jerk reactions by India when junior ministers came out and attacked the Indian leadership and the Indian government on unfounded allegations. I'm relieved and happy that the current administration has decided to close that chapter, publicly say that the administration, the current administration, is sorry, and invite the Prime Minister to be the guest of honor. It is beyond symbolism. This visit is beyond symbolism because we would be having the Prime Minister of India as the guest of honor when we celebrate 60 years of independence.
So thank you so much for joining us. We'll, of course, keep in touch with you for regular updates. Well, let's turn our attention to the other big story we're tracking. New details have emerged in the probe against fake ambassador Harsvardhan Jain, who allegedly rented a luxurious double-storied building and ran it as the embassy of Westarctica in Ghaziabad, near Delhi. The accused allegedly ran shell companies in London and even met with a notorious Saudi arms dealer in the past. Officials have said that during his foreign trips, the accused partnered with Hyderabad's based Shafiq and Dubai's Ibrahim Ali bin Sharma to float more firms, offering overseas job placements and business deals. But such companies are also formed for financial frauds and potentially illegal arms deals. But Harsvardhan Jain, the accused arrested on the 23rd of July for operating a fake embassy out of a plush two-story bungalow in Ghaziabad, he actually hails from a wealthy business family, and officials have confirmed that he studied abroad. He was part of an illegal arms trade network and committed financial frauds in the garb of overseas firms, according to the Uttar Pradesh Special Task Force. In fact, you must know that he was previously arrested by the UP police in 2012 for illegally possessing a satellite phone. Well, let's now take you through why Thailand and Cambodia are engaged in a border conflict. A long-running border dispute between Thailand and Cambodia escalated dramatically, with Thailand launching airstrikes on Cambodian military targets and accusing Cambodia of firing rockets and artillery. For further clarity on what's going on, let's go across to Shremoy Nop, who joins us live from Cambodia at the moment as this clash reopens old wounds. Shremoy, thanks so much for making time for us. If you could just take our viewers through the background of this current conflict and also the political situation in the two countries as we speak.
So the dispute is, like you mentioned, it's over the Tamon Thom Temple, which is located in Udon province in Cambodia. And it's the province that shares the border with Thailand. And you know, Cambodia and Thailand, they are neighboring country with a border share of about 800 kilometers. So less or more, they tend to have some dispute over the claim of possession of some specific like ancient temple. Not only this Tamon Thom, this is not the first case that the two countries has kind of a claim to be their own, but it happened before in with the Previhir temple also. And I would like also to mention about the cultural and the similarity in terms of traditional. So Thailand and Cambodia seems to always like fight over like some cultural things and also traditional. And I think the tensions that have erupted once again along the Cambodia-Thailand border and what now is being described as the most dangerous escalation since the decades-old dispute reignited in May.
Shremoy, thanks so much for joining us with the latest update. We'll, of course, keep in touch with you for what's going on in Thailand and Cambodia. With that, let's turn our attention to our neighborhood. A Bangladesh court has once again denied bail to Chinmoy Krishnadas, a prominent Hindu leader and spokesperson of the Bangladesh Samilito Sanatani Jagaran Jyoth, in connection with 5 criminal cases, including one related to the murder of Chattogram court lawyer Saiful Islam Alif. The Chattogram Metropolitan Sessions Court, presided over by Judge Hassanul Islam, rejected the bail plea after a hearing, and Das, who was brought to the court under tight security, was sent back to jail following the court's decision. More news and updates continue in a moment after this very short commercial break. Do stay tuned. A quick update from the United States. A man accused of attempting to assassinate US President Donald Trump at his Florida golf course last year will be allowed to represent himself at trial, a court has ruled. Ryan Ruth, a 59-year-old, is charged with trying to assassinate then-candidate Trump by aiming a rifle through a fence at his West Palm Beach golf course. US District Judge Eileen Cannon approved his request to represent himself at trial, but has ordered court-appointed attorneys to remain on standby. Firefighters battled multiple wildfires across Turkey and Cyprus that have scorched swaths of land, forced the evacuation of towns and villages, and killed 10 firefighters in central Turkey amid a searing Mediterranean heat wave. Heavy rains triggered by tropical storm Wifa have caused severe flooding in central Vietnam, killing at least 3 people and leaving 1 more missing. With a long coastline facing the South China Sea, Vietnam is prone to typhoons that often cause deadly floods and mudslides, but Wifa is the first major storm to hit the country this year. US President Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff has said the US was cutting short Gaza ceasefire talks and bringing home its negotiating team from Qatar for consultations after the latest response from Hamas showed a lack of desire to reach a ceasefire in Gaza. In fact, he said, and I quote, "While the mediators have made a great effort, Hamas does not appear to be coordinated or acting in good faith. We will now consider alternative options to bring the hostages home." But it was unclear what these alternative options the US was considering. French President Emmanuel Macron has announced that France will recognize Palestine as a state in a bold diplomatic move amid snowballing global anger over people starving in Gaza. Israel denounced the decision. Macron said in a post on X that he will formalize this decision at the UN General Assembly in September. Meanwhile, China and the European Union reached a narrow agreement on rare earth exports during a summit in Beijing, but left larger points of contention on trade unresolved. China has agreed to emergency export procedures for critical metals and magnets to European factories facing shortages, though the deal falls short of what the bloc's businesses, desperate to build up their rare earth inventories, were hoping for. Brussels, by the way, is increasingly worried that China could use its dominance in the sector to turn the screws on Europe, just like Beijing extracted tariff concessions from Washington in exchange for resuming rare earth exports in May. Meanwhile, the UK government has signed a new operational agreement with major food delivery partners and platforms, Deliveroo, Just Eat, Uber Eats, as part of a broader plan to stop illegal working of migrants. The Home Office in the United Kingdom announced the partnership, stating that the move aims to prevent account sharing by individuals who have no legal right to work in the country. And legendary pro wrestler Hulk Hogan has died from cardiac arrest at the age of 71. Born Terry Bollea, Hogan was arguably the most famous pro wrestler of his or perhaps any era. He joined the World Wrestling Federation as it was going national, and his charisma helped transform the sport into a multi-billion-dollar industry. Thank you for investing your time and watching this edition of The World 24/7. As always, we'll continue to track the latest for you. Do stay tuned.